Good afternoon and welcome to the latest episode of Print21, the weekly video news bulletin for the Australia and New Zealand print industry. This episode is sponsored by Spices, creating solutions together. The ACCC has not objected to AusPost's proposed 13.3% price rise increase to take effect in July for its reserved ordinary letter service delivered to the regular timetable, which the Visual Media Association has called a disappointing outcome. Unless the Minister for Communications disapproves the proposed increase, the price for ordinary small letters, known as the basic postage rate, will increase from $1.50 to $1.70. The Mail Industry Coalition, that's the industry lobby group formed by the VMA, worked hard across the discussions with the ACCC and, said CEO Kelly Northwood, was disappointed with the outcome. She said the challenge is always that the business mail oversight from the ACCC is no longer, which means that their remit to address our concerns is extremely limited. Therefore, the only opportunity for the industry voice to be heard is directly with the Minister and in our discussions with Australia Post. With the recent change to the Minister for Communications, that's now Annika Wells replacing Michelle Rowland in the job following the election, VMA is preparing an industry summary including an industry forecast across the letterbox sector and is working with Australia Post to address opportunities for operational and regulatory relaxation to reduce costs for its mail industry members in their mail operation. In its submission to the ACCC, Australia Post said its letters business is in decline, which you all know of course, and that currently it only delivers around 2 letters to each household per week, and it said it expects reserved letter volumes to continue to decrease by about 10% annually for at least the next 3 years. Women in Print has launched a major initiative aimed at supporting women and non-binary professionals at all stages of their print careers. The Executive Leadership Program, so-called, is to welcome its first intake in Melbourne in August. The program speaks to the organisation's mission to elevate, to connect and to support women in the print industry, whether they're starting out on the production floor or stepping up into leadership roles at the highest levels. And that's according to Stephanie Gaddin, Chair of the Women in Print Association. The Executive Leadership Program, which will be delivered in partnership with Joe Wise Leadership, that is, will commence with its first intake in Melbourne on 11th to the 12th of August. The 2-day in-person experience has been designed exclusively for team leaders, middle managers and small business owners. The Executive Leadership Program is a paid skills development program aimed at that level of management in print. The program commences with a focus on self-awareness, values-based leadership and communication strategies for handling tough conversations. On day 2, the group will look at team empowerment, driving change and building resilience through practical, actionable leadership strategies. Print aficionados are in for a real treat with the world's earliest printed items coming to Melbourne next month, and they'll be put on show at the 55th Annual Melbourne Rare Book Fair. Among the remarkable set of items on display will be the world's first printed object, that's the Hayukumen diary created in Japan between AD 764 and 770. There'll also be a page of the first print run of the Gutenberg Bible, the first ever piece of print in the Western world, which dates from 1454 to 55. Also on show will be a hand-coloured first edition of the world's first illustrated encyclopedia, the 1493 Nuremberg Chronicle, and from our own shores, The Birds of Australia by John Gould, with full colour litho illustrations and letterpress text, printed here in 1848. The Gutenberg Bible, of which an original leaf will be on display, was the first ever book printed in Europe. It used movable metal type with printing on Gutenberg's new invention, the printing press. Only 49 of the original Bibles remain. There's actually ongoing debate about how many, but there's certainly less than 200 according to those that know. And of those 200, or less than 200, 28 survive in part and 21 as a whole book. If one of the remaining complete Gutenberg Bibles from that run were to come up for sale today, it's estimated it would command a price of between $40 and $50 million. Who said there was no money in print? The 2025 Rare Book Fair takes place from 31st of July to 2nd of August at the Wilson Hall in the University of Melbourne. Admission is free. That's it for this week's episode of Print21, and in fact that's it for me on Print21. Today is my final episode. It's been a pleasure presenting the weekly video news bulletin to you, but rest assured, while I'll be leaving, the news bulletin will continue under new editor of Print21, Jan Reza. He'll take over and continue to provide you with all the big stories from the dynamic world of print each week in the industry's weekly video news bulletin. Go to print21.com.au for all these stories and in-depth and more. You'll find them there on the industry's only real news website. Thanks to our sponsor Spices, creating solutions together. This is Wayne Robinson, editor of Print21, signing off for the final time.